Hi, and thank you for listening to the Curate Church podcast. If you haven't already heard, Curate is launching in Auckland. If you live in Auckland and you don't have a church to call home, we would love to see you at our next Curate Auckland Interest Gathering on the 16th of June at Mission Bar and Eatery in Mission Bay. Come along and meet the team, make some friends, and hear the story. Maybe you know someone that needs to be there. Help us spread the word and let them know. Follow us on Instagram at curate_Auckland or jump onto our website for more details. We're moving into the neighbourhood and we hope to see you there. Here's the latest message from Curate.
It's been a really tough year in many ways, but it's been an amazing year in many, many other ways. And I guess the first place to start, the first question we have for you is, so obviously both of you are quite thankful people, but just pop quiz, who's the most thankful out of the both of you?
Obviously me. When people talk with Joel, they say, man, that's a positive person. It's Katie's definitely, but she's the most thankful, not because she was born that way, but because she practices it a lot more than I do. Yeah.
She probably has a lot more to be thankful for, right? Like she's married to you.
I was getting to that.
It's easier.
Yeah. No, I definitely have the most to be thankful for in this relationship.
Nice save, mate. Yeah. Hey, and Katie, you've got how many kids? How many children do you have?
4.
4 children. And is there any particular child that you're more thankful for than the others?
The one that's here tonight, probably.
Yeah. The one that's in the room.
Yeah.
He's here, okay. Who's that?
Don't tell the other 3 we said that, though. Yeah.
Superior. Hey.
Yeah.
And Katie, is there anything... superior. There you go. You heard it right there.
That's what he always tells us anyway.
Podcast. Show your siblings. Hey, Katie, so is there anything in particular that you're really thankful for in your children?
Oh, in our children. I'll tell you what, thankfulness has really changed the way that I parent. It's done this amazing thing, whereas I would just see my children as a blur of offspring. So they all kind of, were together in one. Because I don't know if any other parents here with multiple children, because, this one has a need, this one's calling out mum, this one, needs to be dropped somewhere. You just start to feel this blur of need and pressure on you. And what thankfulness has done is it's enabled me to be able to see them really individually and to be able to see their individual needs. And I notice more. And because I notice more, I'm picking up more on their own individual little needs. And it's been incredible because it's meant that I was missing so much before, seeing them as one blur of need. But now
is that Joel included in that as well?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But it's been a really incredible thing. For example, when I give them encouragement, I notice one of them just says thanks and walks away like they don't care. Another one is when I give them encouragement is so shy they can barely look at me with this big smile on their face. Another one just says, I know. Not with a arrogance, but more just this quiet confidence. They're just yeah, and what? And the other one gives me encouragement back. And so it's just been really cool. As I've been thankful for each of them, I've just been noticing them more individually and picking up on things that I've been missing. And so that's been really, really cool.
Yeah, I think the principle is that you'll care for anything that's entrusted to you better the more thankful that you are for it. That when we're thankful for things, it recognises that their source wasn't us. And I think what it does is it causes us to bring a better duty of care. It brings a better stewardship when we're thankful for our finances or our job or our friends or our church. It leans us to care for it better and see it very differently. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So tonight there will be some people in the room that are single.
Just a few. You can feel the desperation in here. Did anyone else feel that when they walked in?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
But
just because you're single doesn't mean you're desperate. Hey, right?
No, it shouldn't.
No desperate people, just single people. But Katie, so obviously you guys are married. You've been married for...
Thank the Lord.
13 years? 12 years? 13 years. Is there anything you would say with the single people in mind about what they should look for in a person, considering how thankful you are for Joel? Like, what are you most thankful for in him? And that might help us
Okay.
work out what sort of person we should be looking
Yeah,
for.
I'm an example. Yeah.
Okay, what am I most thankful for in Joel? Well, he makes good coffee, he makes the bed, he helps me with the washing.
the simple
I've
things.
never
those are
seen him
some-
help you with washing.
He does now.
I
yeah.
dominate washing.
He does,
Okay?
yeah.
I
take your
can
word
do
for it.
washing like nobody's business.
Okay.
But those things aside, what I'm the most thankful for is his faith in Jesus, for sure. That's the thing that I'm the most thankful for, because he's been able to really take the role as the spiritual leader in our home, and he calls all of us to live to a higher standard, not just to like the cultural standard of what's acceptable, but to something greater, and that's something he does so well. And so if you are someone of faith, what you should be looking for is someone of faith.
That is fantastic. Joel, did you want to add anything to that?
Oh no, I was just waiting for there to be an applause for me, but it didn't come. So
Do you want to clap him? Make him feel better?
no, please
No.
don't. Yeah, that's how people think. Yep.
So, just moving right along.
Do I not get to say what I'm thankful for?
Oh, you
for
can.
Katie?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether you had something.
Oh, yeah.
You do
I
have
have a
something.
few things. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good.
I think Katie's obviously beautiful on the outside, but she's beautiful on the inside. She's incredibly kind, assuming the best, compassionate, tough, in a good way, like stays firm on her convictions person. And I think in a world that's like very obsessed with the outside, beauty is fleeting. But inner beauty lasts forever, and I think there's something about like when we find people who are beautiful on the inside, we should take hold of them and never let them go. And I think like if we're looking for something, if that's the point, then let's make sure that we're looking for the substance on the inside. Yep.
That's really good.
That was
There you go.
nice.
Thanks,
yeah.
Nikki. Thanks.
You're going to be getting a reward for that. That was a good answer. And
Probably the best answer so far.
And there it is.
so, this year's theme, you've talked, Katie, briefly about how it's changed your interaction with your kids. But is there anything else that the theme of thankfulness, gratitude has changed the way that you do in life? Is it?
Thankfulness has changed things in our marriage, big time. So I have never enjoyed conflict, never ever. I was always the peacemaker growing up in my siblings, peacemaker with my friends, peacemaker in our family. I don't like it, I don't enjoy it, and Joel doesn't mind it. And so it's one thing that's been really difficult for me is knowing how to do conflict well. And one thing that thankfulness has done, and it's done something incredible in our marriage. See, it sounds really arrogant, but I just wanted Joel to be more like me. Not because I thought I was better, but because I just thought it would be easier. There would be less conflict. So what happened is, in thankfulness, I was able to see his differences, because our differences, what make us different, a difference of opinion, actually causes friction and can cause conflict. Therefore, I saw the things that caused that, the differences, as not a good thing, because conflict's not good. But thankfulness has enabled me to be able to look beyond that, to be able to see his differences and to be thankful for them, has actually meant that it's really transformed things, because now it's not like the friction and the differences are not bad. It's like, actually, there's amazing strength in that, and so I can like understand it more and encourage him more, and so thankfulness has really changed that. Yeah.
Let's clap Katie on that.
Oh, we don't need claps for every answer.
No, that's a really good answer. What about you, Joel? What's changed for you this year, being more thankful? How's it changed
Hopefully
you?
I'm a nicer person, as a more thankful person, I think so. I've really, I'm the sort of person, for people that don't know me very well, I'm the person that, part of the idea of like vision and always seeing what could be is you see what's not yet. That's part of the blessing and the curse of it. And the curse of that is that if I let the what's not yet consume my mind, I'm just focused on all the things that aren't yet, and that's quite a depressing place to be, and that doesn't bring a lot of life. And so one of the big challenges for me all of my life has been somehow holding this optimism and this vision for so much more, while also being able to live out today as a decent human being. And I've found just thankfulness is really the key to that. When I can just consistently choose to make sure all of my prayers are filled with thankfulness before they're filled with request, when my worship comes from a place of thankfulness, when my conversations are filled with thankfulness, and I to the point where I try to, I need to take time every day to really consider my whole day and go through the people I'm going to interact with and remind myself of why I'm thankful for those people. And helps with marriage, helps with parenting, helps with being a good boss and a good pastor, a good friend, all of those things. It's hard to add value if you're not thankful. Yeah.
It's amazing. You've had a really, I guess, trying and challenging and highs and lows the last 7-8 years in leading the church. I think it was only a year after that photo that you guys took over the leadership of this church.
That's a scary thought.
25 years old. And so there's been some mountains, but there's been some real valleys. There's been some really tough lessons that you've had to go through. Is there any, I guess, particular lesson which comes to mind that you think, man, actually I'm most thankful for that lesson? I don't want to do that lesson again, but man, I'm thankful for it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we're not generally thankful for the things that we become thankful for later on, right? Like, we're not normally thankful for them at the time. Yeah. However, the secret to writing a truly powerful, faithful story in your life is learning to become thankful for them at the time, not just... Anyone can be thankful for the trial in hindsight. Yeah. That doesn't require any faith. It doesn't really require much perspective. It just requires getting through it. However, there's something about the maturity that God's trying to pull out of each of us, that each time we would look back, what that would cause us would be to look at our present quite differently. So that we don't just keep being the people who whine our way through and thank Him at the end, but we become the people who thank Him on the way through and celebrate at the end. And because I think that's a power story you can give somebody else at the end. And we're all writing our own testimonies at the moment, and one day we're going to get to tell them in different shapes and forms, and we're either going to be really pumped to tell it because we're going to have a great one to tell of how we endured but stayed faithful and stayed thanking God, or we're going to sort of not really have a story because it doesn't really take much just to get through and thank Him at the end. So it's really up to you. You're writing the story right now, so choose how you want to write it. But I think that really one of the hardest things that seems so long ago, as we don't often talk about it, was the week we became pastors and the months that would precede that were very dark days in our lives. We were 25 years old. We had 3 kids. We'd never thought about being pastors, and we found ourselves being senior pastors of a church. We had no warning. Literally, on one Sunday, we were serving our senior pastor and loved him and thankful for the opportunities that we had. And on the Monday, I think my mum called me and told me that my dad had just left, and that they were getting a divorce. And then on the Tuesday, a whole bunch of stuff started to come to light that would mean by the Sunday, we were the senior pastors. And so that's a big week, you know. and it's led to a big life. And I think one of the big lessons is that our potential and our opportunities, they never come in the package we want them to. You know, and I think many people miss what God is trying to bring in their life as the next step because it's not in the package we wanted. Like, I mean, if I had the dream to have been a senior pastor, I could tell you the package I would want. I either want to plant my own church and be sent out by someone and blessed by somebody, or I'd want to be handed something in a nice, beautiful, and wise transition. You know, like, that's how you'd want it, right? That's how you imagine it, but it's not necessarily how God has it. And I think all of our best opportunities, they come disguised as normally crises. They come disguised as other people's throwaways. They come disguised as rescue operations. But God's got something in that. And so let's not be too romantic about the package. Let's just be thankful for whatever it is that comes our way today, because it actually might be the door opening to our potential. And look, it took 2 years before I even wanted to be a senior pastor. Or maybe it took Katie 3 years.
4.
Still getting used to it.
Yes, we weren't aspirational in that sense. We just wanted to serve the Lord. And it took a long time to come to terms with serving him this way. But we're very thankful that he knew better. And we're thankful that we just kept doing what was in front of us.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we're thankful that you did it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Thanks.
What about you, Katie? Biggest lesson? Thankful for that one?
That time for sure is, I don't think
I know one you need to talk about.
Oh.
You've big problem. No. You know, like, you didn't see yourself as somebody that should ever be on the platform. You hated it. The first message you ever gave, you swore like 3 or 4 times.
It was awesome.
And it took like 12 minutes and it was over real quick. It was a high moment in church life. You just got so nervous. You said crap, and then you said another word that you shouldn't have said because you were around. Anyway, but...
He's not kidding.
But God had spoken to you through prophetic words about you were supposed to, and you had to get to the point where you're thankful.
He wasn't kidding with that. But the funny part is, someone said, the moment you said that, I knew I was home. And I was like, okay, well, God uses all things for good. So, he even uses swearing in your sermons.
Yeah, 100 people left the church that day. But
we didn't have 100 people in the church. That was incredibly tough because I not only, most people have a fear of public speaking. I had a fear of even just talking to people that I didn't know just off the platform, everything was terrifying. I didn't think it was in me. I didn't think it was my calling. I was annoyed that I was being asked to do it because I'm like, God, if you wanted me to do this, you would have given me better abilities. What I didn't know is that it was all in there, but it was just drowned out by fear and by uncertainty and by doubt and by just a lack of practice. And so it was all there, but it was an incredibly tough journey. I think the hardest one was it was like 4th message in, okay, so my 4th time, and I think it was worse than all the others. It was just so bad, and at that point we had just started a second gathering, and so I was expected to do that same message again. And I was like, that was the worst experience of my life. All I could think of was in the cartoons where they have the levers and you fall through the stage. That was what I was like fantasizing about. And so I remember running up into our nursery and I hid behind the couch and I was going, God, I'm not doing it. There's no way, I'm not going to do it. And I was reminded of a prophetic word that I was given only a few weeks before that. And the word was that there was Gideon, and he was an amazing warrior, and his son, he said to his son to draw his sword and to be the one to kill this other king. And he wouldn't draw his sword, and that was the end of his story. And he spoke that over me, saying, you need to draw your sword, because if you don't, kind of someone else will, or you're going to miss it. And so I was up there and I was reminded of that. And so that was really pivotal because I got up to do it again and it was better. But just felt God with me. And that was, I know, a pivotal moment in my life where it was like I was either going to walk away from it or I was going to trust God and go again. And then from there it's just been easier and easier and better.
So the cartoon with the lever, that's
gone.
That's an old story.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for God that he's been with me every step of the way. I'm thankful that he knew better than I did. I'm thankful that he sent people to prophesy over me. I'm thankful that I had a church that was so full of grace and so encouraging that they believed in me. I'm thankful for so much because without all of those things, I wouldn't be here knowing my calling and being able to do this together, which is a beautiful, amazing thing.
Nice. With that, like you said, you've got lots of great people around you, lots of people that support you and care for you and mentor you. is there any particular piece of advice from one of those mentors or friends that you're particularly thankful for? Is there anything that's stood out? Maybe from this friend or some other friend?
Hayden always says. No, I mean, we've got lots of great people that have invested in us over the years and continue to invest in us. One of the things that I've found super helpful is probably 13 years ago, the pastor said to me, he prophesied about our future and about what that could look like, and he said, but don't worry about that. The journey from here to there is like a staircase. You don't have to worry about 10 steps ahead, you just have to worry about the step you're on. And learn the lessons at the step you're on as quickly as you can, and when the Lord's ready, He'll invite you to the next step, and He'll invite you to the next step. So for being quite a future-focused person, it's like a very reassuring thing to just go, that's not on me, that's on God. But like where I am today, not even the next step, just where I am today, that's on me. And am I living that fully? Am I pressing into God fully there? Am I loving the people around me fully there? Because I'm not really in charge of the next step opening up. Yeah.
What about you, Katie?
Enjoy the journey. That has been like the greatest gift that someone gave me, that piece of wisdom. Enjoy the journey. Good times, hard times. And it's been fun, like really fun in our home and with friends, and just being like, actually, no, this life is meant to be enjoyed. In our workplace, this life is meant to be enjoyed. Like in the hard times, this life is meant to be enjoyed. We can have some fun right now. We can joke. We can, it's that has been the best thing.
That's right, and I think that's so connected with like the steps thing. We're so in our culture always looking for the next thing, and like, oh, when I grow up, or when I get a girlfriend, or when we get engaged, or when we get married, when we get a home. It's all like but if we can't find contentment and joy and purpose where we are right now, we will never find it there. It's never in those things. It's in our ability to find it where we are and make it where we are. And so thankfulness, what it does is it like makes us present and grounded and here, now, and soaking it all in. Yeah.
And it's not going to be fun unless you make it fun. Like I think so many people, like we can sit there just being like, man, it's not fun at the moment. But you can make it fun. You have to do something. Watch something funny,
That's what I mean. She's quite hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where there's no fun, there's no one. Right.
Or the unfun ones.
Write that down. Hey, the story of Curate Church is nothing short of miraculous. So I think 7-8 years ago when you took over, I think there might have been 60 people, who knows, hurting, broken. It was, like you said, it was a really, really tough time. But it is nothing short of miraculous that there's now currently 4 locations, people meeting Jesus every single gathering. There's many, there's almost 100 healthy small groups. There's amazing people serving on the teams. I mean, just look at these front rows here. I mean, come on, there's just so much to be thankful for. Is there anything in particular that you're most thankful for in Curate right now?
Oh, so many things. Where do I start? I was just even in worship tonight, and I was just thankful. Right, like thankful for God, obviously, but as a pastor, I just had to take a moment and just be like, I was pleasantly surprised in worship tonight. The song, and it's a song I hadn't heard before, and just the way Hans and the team led and different things, but then as I just like peeked across the room from where I was, out the side of my eye, just to see people like hungry and passionate and just real, I think, when it comes to these things. I was just thankful for that. Like I constantly say to the team, people don't want to know if it's true, like in the sense of they don't need to be convinced that Jesus is real by you and your intellectual arguments. People don't walk into this room asking those questions. They walk into this room and they stand next to you and they go, do you think it's real? and they're looking at the way you worship and the way you talk with people and the way you notice people and the way you lean into the message, and they're trying to get, is it authentically true to you? Did Jesus change your life? Does he mean something to you? If he's the God of the universe and this is the biggest story ever told, does it matter to you? And I like on nights like this where I look around and I go, it looks like it does. Yeah. Makes my heart happy. Yeah.
It's cool. Katie?
Oh, there's so much to be thankful for in Curate. One thing I particularly love is when I see people using their gifts, using their skills to serve God in the church, to build up the church for the glory of God. I love when I see people using their artistic talents. I love it. I love when I see people using their practical gifts and skills. I love when I see people using their prophetic gifts, using their intercessory gifts, using their emotional intelligence, using their relational skills, using their hospitality gifts. I absolutely love it. And it's beautiful. It's this most beautiful expression of creativity, and it's amazing. And God can use every single gift, every single experience, everything you've got. And when we bring it together to build the church is more beautiful, the church is more attractive, and it looks more like God.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that word prophetic a few times tonight. So obviously the prophetic basically meaning being able to hear from God and speak it into being. Is there anything you guys see in the future of Curate that you're thankful for? I guess there's a chance to be prophetic tonight and speak to that.
Okay, that's me.
I've got plenty, but once I start, it's...
Okay. One thing when I look to the future, and I'm thankful for it because I can almost taste it, and I know that it's on its way, and I know it's something that God's called us to as a church, is to see a massive outreach and impact in our local communities. I believe that one day local governments are going to be so excited when a curate moves to their town, because they know that the poorest and the most vulnerable in their communities, that their needs are going to be met through this church. I'm so excited about that. We are about to launch a really exciting initiative, and I know Joel's going to talk more to that, where we're going to bring warm clothes to 3,000 kids in our community. Yeah. So exciting. And my heart is that over the next few years, over the next while, as we pour more into it, as we grow, that we are going to see whole communities changed, and that we're going to have police departments and government agencies all so thankful that they're there. And because that's going to give Jesus the reputation that he deserves, because he is the one that actually meets those needs, that has a heart for the lost, and he puts us, he says, we're the ones to do it. We're his hands and feet. And I believe this is a calling on Curate. And I can't wait to see us continue to step into it more and more and more.
Let's clap that. Come on. It's amazing.
As well as that, which I think that's just an amazing reflection of the heart of God and the heart of the church. The church is the hope of the world, because the church is the foundation and pillar of truth, the scriptures tell us. The church is the place that can bring holistic transformation to people. It can bring relationship and aid and help. It's like, man, we talk about the problems in our country of things like suicide. What a complex problem. Like, without spiritual breakthrough in those, there's a spirit of suicide on some people. How's a government agency going to help them with that? The problems are so complex, but the church is beautiful enough and diverse enough to capture the complexity of it and do something about that. And that's why I believe in the church. It's the hope of the world, because it carries all of the essence of God's mysterious plan within it. I really think the future is about going. I think so often we're so satisfied with coming, but I feel like the Spirit of God just whisper and whisper and whisper, go.
Yeah.
Don't ask the teenagers to come to the youth group, go to the schools.
Yeah.
Don't ask the kids to come to church, go to the sports grounds. Don't ask the people to come to the gathering, go to their home.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with coming. Coming is a part of it, but coming should happen on the back of going.
Yeah.
And I think God is calling the church to go. I think we've been so selfish. Like, honestly, if I look at my own heart, I can be so selfish. So satisfied with getting through the week and having my devotional time and having my friends, all the while there's people like desperate and broken and don't know if anyone cares or if there's hope, and the things that like we write off because they're so cliches because we've said them so many times and we've heard them so many times. They are the living water to people, desperate for a drink. And man, we never wanted to lead a church, right? So if we're going to lead one, I don't want to play church and be satisfied with a couple of gatherings that are full every Sunday. I want to lead a movement of people that would die for their faith and give themselves fully over to God, surrendered hearts, full of love, and believing that God could do anything if they would just give up their life to Him. And so there's more, not more comfort, not more ease, not more like just good times, but more adventure and more courage and more risk and more sacrifice and more miracles and more salvations and more like, I mean, we've been doing this for quite a while now, like, and serving God for quite a while. I just don't know of a time where people are more open, more desperate, and we're holding the message of hope and love and transformation in the name of Jesus. And if you would put your life and trust Him, all bets are off. All bets are off in your life. He can take the most downtrodden life and turn it into the most beautiful story. He can take the most broken family and restore it. He can take children who shouldn't have even lived past 16, and He can turn them into weapons that make this world a better place because of Jesus and a church that's willing to take Jesus to people. So let's go. Let's go.